And I want to share a few thoughts with you. I think this is going to be a great opportunity to slow down and to create good memories during this time of your child's development. They are going to remember the experience just like we remember September 11th. Do you remember where you were and what you were doing? See what Charles Spurgeon has to say. It is not how much we have, but how much we enjoy that gives us happiness. A lot of our experience is really determined by our attitude. And this time at home is going to give us a lot of opportunities to create memories. So if we start with a vision and we do intentional things with whatever resources and choices are within our means, we can create memories so that we can look back and say, hey, actually, you know what? That epidemic, and when, remember we had to be home and we couldn't go out. That was actually such a blessing in disguise, this serendipitous moment where we could slow down and we could read a book, we could make a bread from scratch, or we could make cookies, or a time when we learned to fold the laundry the way grandma did, or create memories and use these opportunities to tell stories. The more stories you find in your mental bank, the better with difficult circumstances. So education is not just feeding our minds. It is an important part. It's also feeding our hearts. And this is a time when we can enjoy good music, good books, good art, play some music and dance, pick a country and just do the dance for that country. We will try to support you and guide you, but you definitely don't have to stay within whatever we're into. You can make your own too. For example, we're going to be doing Ireland stuff because St. Patrick's is coming. And so another quote for you: the grand essentials to happiness in this life are something to do, something to love, and something to hope for. So what are some real things that you can do at your home? You can be practical, you may be thinking, what are going to be the global repercussions of this? What are going to be, what your kids need is something to do. So give them something to do. Teach them a new craft. Teach them to knit or crochet or wash at the table. In order to help you do that, we're preparing little baggies for each of the school kids, in which we're going to give them supplies to organize activities for them. And so we are going to be giving lessons twice a day at 9:30 and at 1:30. And we hope your child can join us. We want to be here to serve you, to stay connected, to continue to sing and bring wonderful and exciting things to their minds and challenges and a sense of connection and purpose to their day. And we'd love you to come and pick this up. This will be ready on Monday. Monday morning, or I'll let you know if there's done before. They're gonna have just activities, and I'm gonna ask you to prepare a space for your child's things. So a shelf, they don't have to be official Montessori shelves like I have here. They could be an IKEA shelf or a shoe shelf, or maybe, just a bookshelf where you clear one space or two for them. If that's not an option for you, if you don't have the shelves for this, you could even just leave them in the baggie. I think your children would respond better if they can visually see them organized on a shelf. The more beautiful, the more inviting you can make them, the more they'll probably want to engage with it more than once. And anyway, so these are the ones we made for this week, and we'll just see how things go, and we'll continue to do this. But we hope to continue to give your kids activities or something to do. So we're gonna get together at 9:30, and we'll have a lesson, approximately 30 minutes, singing, sharing. This would be an opportunity for your child to share with us something that they've been doing, or a creation that they've made, or a project. The other important thing this will help us do is they can feel connected still to our community that loves and cherishes your child and your family. And we actually really do care so much, and we love you so much. And it's important for your kids to have someone to care for and love too. So love each other, find the time to express and create a culture in your home where there can be love. And also, let's use also technology to stay connected and be together. And the other thing is we're going to be doing 2 part days a week, either Tuesday, Thursday, or Wednesday, Friday. And let me know which one works best for you. I do Montessori right now. It actually is built on principles of optimal human development, principles of success in life that are very adaptable and very important for us. So as a homeschooler, somebody that has been who's at home with her kids all the time, I have a few thoughts to share with you. 1, if you have routines, they will be happy. 2, if you prepare activities that they can do, it will be more positive. And 3, if you set limits on screens and times and hours of schedule, the better. So what I do personally, and you can decide in your family what works best for you, we limit screens. And we have a lot of other activities and opportunities and books and wood carving. My 7-year-old, found some Jenga pieces, and so he's carving them into swords and things like that. But we have a rule in my home that they have to ask me first, so I did allow them to do that. But anyway, you can do puzzles, you can find things that are out there in your home. I think you have an abundant home where kids are actually very creative and they can come up with things. But if you, at the beginning, you have a meeting and you set an expectation, then it'll go better. Like, for example, here, a rule for the school and for my kids is that there's just one rule, and that's respect. So we respect, and that's a sign for respect. Like, what do you think it means if you do things like this? You're mindful of others. You're mindful of other people and their feelings, their belongings, their materials. That means that we ask if we want to use something. We accept if they say no. We offer to share. It's the children where they could develop skills that would help them succeed in life for the rest of their lives when they were super young. So 3 to 6 is a very important age in a person's development. We don't remember consciously that time, but it actually determines a lot of who we are. Our job is to observe the children and see if they're interested in something, what it is, and notes, even take notes in a journal of what is interested to them, what is important, what are they engaging with, if they're free to choose, what are kind of things they're free to choose, and actually give them an environment where they can choose and talk and do and express themselves. Because it is through these activities, this engagement, this talk, that they develop the skills for success in life. They are called executive functions. And if you have time, look up the executive function video by the Harvard Center for the Developing Child. And it's basically 3 skills. Commonly known as creativity and problem solving is the skill called by experts mental flexibility. So the ability to adapt. If you can't have your choice, be able to find a different choice, manage the situations, the circumstances, or your expectations, but just problem solving, creativity. Second is, and the ability to not be frustrated and just shut down. Just, just resilience, basically. Second, also inhibitory control. So it's also called self-control, but they call it inhibitory control because the way they explain it is you have this desire, a thing you want, but you inhibit that. You don't act on it because it's not the right time or it's not your turn, and so you control yourself. And I actually tell my kids sometimes after we explain notes, even take notes in a journal of what is interested to them, what is important, what are they engaging with, if they're free to choose, what are kind of things they're free to choose, and actually give them an environment where they can choose and talk and do and express themselves. Because it is through these activities, this engagement, this talk, that they develop the skills for success in life. They are called executive function skills. And if you have time, look up the executive function video by the Harvard Center for the Developing Child. And it's basically 3 skills. commonly known as creativity and problem solving, is the skill called by experts mental flexibility. So the ability to adapt. If you can't have your choice, be able to find a different choice, manage the situations, the circumstances, or your expectations, but just problem solving, creativity. Second is, and the ability to not be frustrated and just shut down. Just, just resilience, basically. Second, also inhibitory control. So it's also called self-control, but they call it inhibitory control because the way they explain it is you have this desire, a thing you want, but you inhibit that. You don't act on it because it's not the right time or it's not your turn, and so you control yourself. And I actually tell my kids sometimes after we explain it and we watch the video, I say, these are skills to be developed, and so I might remind you or show you opportunities when you can develop the skill. And I will sometimes tell my kids, wow, you really showed your inhibitory control there when, you didn't take whatever, or you didn't complain when I did something nice for your sibling. And the third one is working memory, the ability to focus. And that's why if we prepare an environment and we have activities for the kids to do, then they can work on the skill of knowing what am I supposed to be doing and how can I do it best, and maybe I'll come up with something else that I want to do, and just being able to follow through and finish. Here at the school, we tell the kids that they're free to choose, but once we start with something, we finish it. And if we can do it, we do it on our own, but if we need help, we can also get some help. And your job as a parent is to see whether your child can actually do it on their own, then encourage them to do it on their own. Maybe they just want a social connection and you decide, okay, let's do it together. Or maybe they really can't, or they need a little more, information or problem solving skills, or, whatever skill they need to be shown how to do it. And then you decide how much you help them. But okay, so as the adults, our roles are to prepare that environment. And that includes the physical environment, the activities that we're going to be giving you are part of it. The activities you come up with on your own, the things that you want to share with your kids are also part of that physical environment. But also the emotional environment. What kind of tones do you speak to each other with? How do you, respond to each other? Do you look at each other in the eye? Do you give each other feedback in a positive way? Can you hold a conversation together? Part of our role as the adult is to connect to children. Studies actually show that the stronger the connection is with the educator, the better the children learn. And because you're your child's parent, actually this means that your child will learn from you a lot quicker than they will learn from a teacher at school or from a friend or from me or whatever. It's whoever they're connected to that they're going to just learn and absorb and copy. So you want to be connected to your child. You want to create a lot of activities that are positive and meaningful and that connect to you. This is just as a contrast, right? Other methodologies are more in the idea that the adult is the enforcer, the executive power that just, dishes out commands and you have to do this and you have to do that. And sometimes at the expense of that sense of connection or belonging or whatever. So yes, we want our children to learn to work. At the same time, we also want to keep that connection and that, yeah, I think you got it. Okay. And then the environment, has to be safe, familiar, and comfortable, welcoming, clean, engageable, with motives, with things for them to do. And like I said, you can come up with crafts, you can do this, but you can come up with ideas that are just simple. Like, let's go collect leaves in the backyard. Let's see how many different kinds of leaves we find. And so when we do our lessons in the morning and in the afternoon, we're going to be giving you ideas of things to do. Let's see. Now, what is considered work? Because we want the children to work, right? It's not only the worksheets that you can print offline, or we'll also send some coloring paper. That is not the only work. It's probably not even the most important work. the real important thing is to allow the children to focus and respect the concentration. Maybe they're folding the paper wrap of the gum they just ate. They're just trying to match the corners, fold it carefully, and they're like working hard. And well, that is work, right? It's play too, and that's actually characteristic of good work. It's motivating, it's positive, you want to do it. And so maybe your kid is, painting something. And if they're focused, then as the adult, you can make the call, you know what, this kid is so into this activity that I don't want to interrupt my child's concentration to do something else. Now, if you have a child, though, that just reads and reads and reads, like one of my children that will not do anything else because they're reading, then you, as a parent, can make the determination, is this actually good, or should we set some expectations? Read all you want, but also it's good for you to do this, and this, especially if your child is elementary age, like 6, 7, 8. You can give them gentle guidance of, it's good for us to do this and this and this and this during one day. So for this one child that I'm mentioning, she has to practice her instrument, her other instrument, and do something for writing, and she needs to tell me that she did something for math. Or I also have another rule here at the school and with my own kids, that if I call them in for a presentation, part of the respect they owe me is to come and listen to my presentation. And then I respect them by preparing activities and allowing them time to do them. And I don't interrupt them if it can be done. But that's one of the guidelines that we have. If you call for a presentation, please come. Now, as part of that, before I call someone for a presentation, I observe to make sure I'm not interrupting their focus. They're in something great that, that's what they're doing. So I kind of try to adapt to that. Okay, so let's see. So basically what I'm saying is, if you're at home and you're trying to decide, how do I do this? Is this work? Should I make my child do the worksheet, but the child is actually, building an elephant with dough? Well, if they're developing those 3 skills we showed, either focus or self-control or a creative problem solving, then it is work. Because what we care about is those pathways that they're developing in their brain. Nobody's gonna grade them, really. They're just building themselves, just like a little plant. And I love this little picture of this boy with a plant, because just like a little plant, you can't make it grow, right? It's not like you can just be like, hey, grow. And I want you to have 3 leaves and 2 are gonna be on the left and 1 on the right. You just work with the environment. You water it, you make sure it has sunshine, and then the little plant has it all in itself to grow. It's, the light of life, divine power, the light of Christ, whatever you want to call it. Children have the same. They already come capable of developing themselves into wonderful adults. And that's the job of childhood. They're growing themselves. And so our job is to adapt the environment, to give them, make sure they have stimulation and love and comfort and good routines. And then we just trust the process. And when we correct, we have to be careful that we're not doing it too harshly or too abruptly, that it might, like a leaf, you can't be like, I don't want you to have a leaf on the right, you gotta do it on the left. So every time you do a right one, I'm gonna just cut it. Actually, you have to wait for the other one to grow, and then you can start guiding it. So I guess what I'm saying is, let's be patient, let's be observant, and we're just in it all together into this, right? Okay, so some basic principles. Children in the ages 3 to 6 are in a stage of help me do it myself. And a blessing of having to be home is that we can actually slow down a little bit and allow them more time to help us cook. Sometimes we're rushed. I've noticed, at least myself, I'm rushed usually because I need to go somewhere. So if we don't actually have to leave and go somewhere, maybe we can have a little more time to allow our kids to help us cook or shop or stir, or give them time to button their own jackets or zip their own shoes or polish their shoes or whatever it is. They want to do things on their own, and we want them to do as much as possible on their own, because that's how they grow confidence. You can't just tell somebody, you're so smart, you're so wonderful, and so bright, but don't do that. Let me do it for you. Wait, let me do it for you. Because then even though you're saying they're wonderful, their message they're receiving is, I can't do it. But you've experienced the sense of accomplishment and success for doing something. And as your kids do activities, just pay attention. They'll be building something, and then when they just finish it, just wait for that expression of satisfaction that will come to their faces like that. They usually take a breath and they're like, and they smile, and then you snap a picture if you have one ready. I actually do that. I just see when they're doing stuff, and then I just wait for that moment when they're just like, wow, satisfaction, I did it. Yeah, let them do it. Try to not correct them too much or interfere too much or talk too much. It's like I said, a dance of observation, right? You see one to step back, one to step in. The environment that we're talking about is actually not just the shelves, like we said, it's the habits, the routine. So I want to encourage you to keep a good, healthy routine. So for me, a good routine starts with bedtime, because then that helps you determine if you're happy and well rested in the morning. And then breakfast meals are wonderful opportunities to connect. So as much as possible, try to eat breakfast and dinner and lunch together on the table, turn off devices. The way I think is more successful is turn off entertainment in itself. So basically, we turn off screens. In my house, we do it until 6 or 5. And so before that, my kids can do all kinds of things, just not entertainment stuff. And if they do want to do a learning activity on the computer, I ask them for 3 things. They need to have a purpose, permission, and a timer. And so they'll just come and tell me, and I'll usually say yes, but just having that requirement will help them manage their time. And that's a skill of success in life. And yeah, and so other than that, they can read books, they can create, they can practice their instruments, they can color, they can read a book, they can go for a walk, they can go to the backyard or play with a bunny. And it helps them kind of like be together. I've also had days when my kids just watch screens all day long, and then they get more cranky and they fight more. And if you decide that's what you need, I'm not going to judge you, and I've been there too, and I'm just saying what I've observed. If it helps you, take it. If not, totally fine. So okay, so one third of it is the habits, having good routines. Wake up early. I am going to keep on the routine of starting breakfast at 8 and then starting our learning time at 9. So we do breakfast, scriptures, we talk, we clean the kitchen, and then at 9 we're gonna start our learning activities, and we're gonna be sharing a live meeting on Zoom with you and your kids, or with just your kids. If you have something else to do, just please help them get online, from 9:30 to about 10. And we'll do songs and music, and we'll listen to them, and we'll be connected. And then it's going to be work time. If you choose to have your kids work and have a work time, that's when I would ask you to make sure your kids know where the materials are. Like I said, a shelf would be preferable, but if not, a bag or a basket. The other third is living ideas. That's the interaction with other adults or other children. And that can be you, it can be their siblings, and it can be hopefully us. I hope you choose to join us in the mornings. And because we want to feed the children with the stories that I was asking you, like telling you to tell your kids, telling them stories, reading books, sharing observations. Now I'll give you 3 questions that you can ask when you're observing nature. Right? A great idea would be to start a drawing journal or a nature journal. And in order to observe something, there's 3 questions you can actually ask yourself to get your mind going. And actually, when you are in the creative process, you just feel happy because you get endorphins released when you actually find connections to things. So these are the 3 questions you can ask. For example, let's look at this picture, right? Okay, what do I observe on this picture? The 3 questions is, what does it remind me of? What do I notice? And what's the other one? It reminds me of, I wonder. The other ones, I wonder. So for example, let's look at this picture. What's something you wonder about? I wonder if that plant is a lemon plant. Those leaves remind me of the leaves that would be stuck on lemons in Mexico when we would buy them at the market. We would buy the lemons, but they would still have a stem and they would have leaves. I live in Mexico City, so we didn't actually have lemon trees. It was all pavement. But I was so interested in the shape of those leaves. So I wonder if that's a little lemon plant. And I wonder if it's plastic or if it's a real plant. And anyway, so you see, mine just kind of going somewhere with this. Some might be a great idea, some may be a terrible idea, but by observing and by going through these questions, I'm paying attention to more detail. I also noticed that the top shelf on that picture has a lot of aqua. What is something you notice on it? You know, like the aqua. I wonder if there's a purpose to those 3 trays. Like I see 3 containers, but I can't think off the top of my head if that's a decoration just because of the aqua, or if there's an actual activity to it. Are they supposed to pour with the middle pitcher into the big dish or into the thinner, taller one? Not just analyzing this picture, I'm just trying to exemplify the 3 questions. But if you do it in nature, if you do it with a flower, you could go out, you could look through your window, you could print a picture, but it could even be the little spider that's crawling on your wall. And you can ask these 2 questions. I wonder if it's a poison spider. It reminds me of Charlotte's Web, that book. Maybe you could read it. It reminds me. I wonder. And I forgot again. But anyway, the whole point is to get you thinking until you hit a thought that you like, and then you can draw it. If you're going to do a nature journal, do the drawing, do some numbers, do some of these observations on the side, and that's how you can infuse your interactions with your kids with living ideas. I guess I went on to this whole creative process just to give you ways to engage with living ideas with your kids, with anything you're doing, with anything you're reading or looking at. Maria Montessori said that there's a few pillars for peace, and one is nature, beauty, truth, and kindness. So you could do these, and I like that thought because it gives me an idea of what are things that are important. For example, with this coronavirus, you could ask, I wonder if that information is accurate, if it is true. Or I noticed that so-and-so made this beautiful comment or this kind gesture to somebody else. They're basically 4 things that you can hold on to, emphasize as you talk to your kids or observe the world around you. And the idea, the rationale for going out into nature is one is this staying connected, but really more importantly, it's actually 3. So they found that in the pandemic of 14 or something, one of the treatments that helped patients recover was being out in the sunshine. And there's an article I can send you about it. But it is actually one of the places, the one place where you can go outside is out in nature, in open areas where you can just breathe clean air and be in the sunshine. And the 3rd reason that I find it important to be out in nature is in my studies of how to develop faith, I observed that prophets who are teaching people about God from the beginning, like Ammon teaching King Lamoni, who was like, well, who is God that I should worship him? Or Moses writing Genesis, right, the first book of the Bible. Or Abinadi telling us who God is. Or Nephi, prophets. So how do they tell us who God is? They begin with the creation. So there's the creation, the fall, the atonement, which we remember a lot, the atonement, and the family. And those are 4 basic principles, like the 4 doctrines upon which the gospel is built. And being out in nature can help us develop that sense of belonging to something, to this wonderful world, a grand place, a a place of design by a wonderful, amazing intelligence, which we know to be God or Father, who cares for us and loves us. So being out in nature can just, and if you're not religious, if that's not your thing, you can, let's just say, bring you a sense of wellness, of hope, of positivity that I think will be good for us, and something to hope for, just keeping the perspective that things will get better, that this is temporary and things will work out. So